Hey, it's KK Diaz with the A-Game Business Podcast, back with you at the Africa Green Energy Summit in Cape Town. And I'm here with Zoe, who's going to tell you a little bit about who she is, what she does. And I heard some interesting stuff about what you're doing. So I asked that they please bring you here so we can learn more, a little bit about you, and of course to share the good news, what you do with our audience, which is predominantly entrepreneurs and business executives across the globe. So thank you for joining us. Zoe, please introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit more about what you do.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you very much for having me.
Pleasure.
My name is Zoë Slattery, and I work for a company called Smart Villages. We're a UK-based company, but we are active in a couple of different countries. We're active in Uganda, in Kenya, in Tanzania, and Nigeria. And I'm going to talk to you today about the work that we do in Uganda. It's on a project called Smart Agri-Centres, and it's an innovative energy access solution for agricultural communities. Yeah, so we effectively, a Smart Agri-Centre is a community-based energy solution. So it's mini-grid scale solar, but without the difficulties that you have with traditional mini-grids, which often have quite a lot of difficulty with payback. So we provide solar power for an entire community's agricultural needs. So it's a large building. It's about 25 by 10 meters, but scalable to any size of community. It's covered in solar panels with some lithium-ion battery storage, and that all powers agricultural services within the center itself. But it also powers any nearby businesses and any nearby community infrastructure. So that's things like hospitals, it's schools, it's religious institutions as well. So
the one unit.
Exactly, yeah. So it's about the one that we have in our pilot site is in a place called Mbata. It's right in the west of Uganda on the border with DRC, up very far up in the mountains, quite difficult to get to, but a gorgeous place. And yeah, it's 45 kilowatt peak of solar panels there, and it serves about 1,500 individuals.
That sounds amazing. And how long have these centers been running?
So we started this kind of work concept-wise in 2019. This particular centre has been in operation since January 2022. So good 2 years running now.
Great. And how do countries like South Africa actually access it for purposes of supporting the disadvantaged communities that need it that much?
Yeah, so I mean the great thing about it is very scalable. You can tailor it very easily to different agricultural needs in different agricultural communities. Then absolutely, I think it's a solution that could definitely work here as well.
Fantastic. So I'm from Soweto, so it's a peri-urban area, you could say. And then I was born in a predominantly rural area, so different needs. And I'd love to speak to you about this offline and to see where potential synergies lie. But I believe definitely something like this is much needed in the country. I mean, I'm sure you've heard about our load shedding situation.
I've been here for 3 days. This is my first time in South Africa. Yeah. I've noticed a little, yes, there is. And I have quite a lot of South African friends, and I know that it's been an issue for a while, and it's definitely an issue that needs solving, and I think we're in the right place to find people to solve it here.
Fantastic. And now tell us a little bit more about the competition, what stage you are at, and what's happening next.
Yeah, so we're here with the Milk and Motsepe Prize. It's a prize that's run by the Milken Institute and the Motsepe Foundation, so very grateful to both of them that we're able to be here. And we are one of the 5 finalist teams, so...
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. So a lot of teams started out, I don't know the exact number, but then we had about 20 semi-finalists, I think. We're down to the last 5, and we have been in Stellenbosch earlier this week demonstrating the ability that each team has to generate 60 kilowatt hours of energy in a day, which was actually a really good experience. And
that's great.
We actually managed to demonstrate that we could generate 130 kilowatt hours, which is a bit more than 60. So we're quite proud of that.
Congratulations. What's next for you guys?
Scaling up is what's next for us. So we are going to we've got 4 of these Smart Agri-Centres in Uganda at the moment, and we're going to build 6 more in Uganda over the next 2 years. At least, if people here want to give us more money to invest, then absolutely we will build more of them. And we're also scaling up to Rwanda as well.
Great. Am I allowed to ask you how much a single unit, say, I don't know if average is the right phrase to use, what does an average center look like from a costing perspective?
Absolutely, you're allowed to ask that, and that is the question that everyone asks, so do not worry, I'm prepared for it. So our pilot unit in Mbata, the place I talked about, costs $250,000. That serves 1,500 individuals, as I said, and our whole model is that the community is then able to earn enough extra profit from agriculture in order to pay that back. So what we saw, with, again, support from the Milk and Motsepe Foundation to do some data collection, was that in the whole of 2021, so for 1 year before the centre was there, the average farmer there earned about $800 per year. In 2022, those same farmers were earning about $3,100 per year. So 800 to 3,100. So the community-wide earnings, it's 283%, I think, was the extra total. So the whole community-wide earnings within a year was up by, I think it was about $200,000. So you can see.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Now, this additional consumption, where does it come from? Is it within the same community, or does it entail exporting of whatever the produce that they've been able to manufacture and produce?
Yeah, good question. So the additional profits come from a couple of different places. They come from the fact that the centre acts as a bulking unit for lots of farmers in the region, but also there's a lot of post-harvest processing. So before, farmers were having to sell very raw materials and pre-processed crops, so they were earning a lot less money from that. But we've also got some low-tech but effective cold storage in there. So Uganda has quite a big problem of post-harvest loss. I think they lose about 40% of their profits just from high post-harvest loss, because the roads are very difficult, there's no infrastructure for cold storage, exactly. So a couple of different places that profit comes from.
Oh, that's insane. Now tell us a little bit more, because it sounds like there's a bit more to the business model, right? And so what does this mean? Do you act also as an agent? Do you facilitate connections with buyers outside? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we work very, very closely with local partners. I am from the UK, so local partners in Uganda will always know more than I do about so many things about Ugandan agriculture and Ugandan energy access. So for this particular site, we work with our local partners, Kima Foods. They're an NGO in Kasese, and they know a lot about agri-extension. They have agri-business officers, and they are the ones that help facilitate local and further markets.
That's interesting. I love comprehensive business models, not just a fancy product, even though it's high impact, but, it has the long tail and the connected value chain aspect of it. I love it. It's comprehensive in that way. Makes a lot of sense. And any call to action that you'd like potentially either your communities or investors to take, and as far as getting in touch with you? I know you guys are still raising funds. What message would you like to put out there to our audience?
I think not even just investors, also any kind of strategic partnerships that's what these kind of conferences are for. It's for finding people who, even if they're not going to give you money, that's not what everyone is here for. It's finding people who can help with lots of other aspects as well. So I told you about the difficulty in transport. We need support from local governments to fix the roads. We need support from agribusiness officers in order to do different trainings with farmers. We need support from banks to help with microfinance loans to these farmers as well. So any kind of strategic partnerships as well are really welcome.
And thanks Zoe, it also sounds like you guys are playing somewhat of a role in as far as facilitating the inter-Africa trade to some extent, because even though we may not necessarily be involved in the actual supporting of the local businesses, but we could, is there some sort of a portal where we can go to and see what kind of products are available and possibly we buy and then sell locally, or whatever the case may be?
So that's not in place at the moment, but I definitely know people, like also even previous winners of the Milk and Motsepe Prize who work in this kind of space, who work in validating farmers' produce and sending it on to different markets and things like that. So, if we can get those kind of strategic partnerships as well, all the better.
Beautiful. Just in closing, what keeps you going? I can imagine the level of and the intensity of challenges that you guys face. What keeps you going that our audience can learn from, so that they too, can keep overcoming the challenges towards their own success?
I think for me personally, it's having a strong network of people who are going to support you. So I was at the Women in Green Economy breakfast this morning, and I'm an electronic engineer. I love seeing female engineers, particularly ones who have more experience than me. So seeing the kind of impact that these women who were speaking at that breakfast have had, and seeing also the humility that they have is really incredible.
No, I totally agree. Zoe, thank you very much. You know, they say your network is your net worth. As Zoe said, make sure you go out there, you network, and don't necessarily be the smartest in the room, because then apparently you'll be in trouble if you're the smartest in the room. I don't know, because I'm never the smartest in the room. So with that said, Zoe, thank you very much, and all the best to you and your partners. May you go out there and continue to conquer the world and make an impact in people's lives. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.